Where are we going, man, in 2023? We're going to find out, but I'm going to give you a little hint. Bad Street, Atlanta, GA. Baddest street in the whole USA. That's right. We are officially a three-man act here on Cards Subject to Change. We have fully engaged the Freeburg rule here in 2023. Am I right, CZ?
You certainly are. What once was 2 is now 3, and we can tag team any way we want now. This is Cards Subject to Change, and as you can tell, the card has changed. I see a zebra sighting in the studio here tonight. Let's go ahead and start off by welcoming our newest member, Mr. Chris Stripes Angle. Chris, how are you, buddy?
I am wonderful, CZ. Nick Bull, thank you. It's great to be here. I'm certainly looking forward to the adventures that we have on the way.
Yeah, welcome. I'm excited too. I know CZ and I have been talking about it for the last, couple months, and I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad this is totally a fruition. I was bummed I didn't get to see you last night. Of course, being you had a shoot injury and couldn't make the show last night, but we'll talk about that show later. CZ, you took in a show. You took in a show last night in a different state and time zone. You're our roving reporter. You are our Staggerly Marshall. I
Yes,
can't
sir.
wait for that report later, and it sounds like we may get another one possibly next week. Fellas, we'll get to know Chris Angle Stripes, as I'm going to call him. It's Stripes. He's a ref. I mean, it just sticks. We're going to get to know Stripes here in a little bit, but I think let's address the white elephant in the room, fellas. Vince McMahon back on board with WWE. This is definitely the truest form of never say never in wrestling, right?
Yeah, 6 months down the road from his retirement, and guess what? The chairman of the board is back to being the chairman of the board. Never say never, right?
This almost feels like an amicable breakup, but you get a call 6 months later that she's pregnant. Life's moved on. What are we going to do? That's what this feels like. WWE has moved on without him and seemingly in the right direction, kind of righting the wrongs that Vince had with releasing good, talented wrestlers. Stripes, is this a desperate plea for Vince, a power move for the ultimate sale, or is this just Vince's ego getting the best of him where he has to be back up front?
Well, I think it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B in this situation because Vince just can't keep his hands off of the WWE, which that's a double entendre there.
Hell, yeah, I was going to let you. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I can't correct you. Allegedly.
That's good shit.
I mean, it's like Vince is back, but also he's keeping the day-to-day operations with Steph and Triple H, or as CZ calls him, Triple Paul.
Triple Paul.
But it's gonna be the same thing where he's gonna try to weasel his way into some sort of, I don't know, maybe an on-screen character, or maybe, hopefully not, but I mean, maybe back into the storyline situations.
Everything that I've read or have seen so far, probably the same stuff you're looking at, is that creative's not affected. This won't affect day to day. Fingers crossed, right? That's what we hope. That's best case scenario. But as we all know, the best laid plans of mice and men. I just hope he's just there in name alone. And, I don't think these allegations are going away. Where there's smoke, there's fire, right, fellas?
I agree.
So more are going to come. Okay, he can't keep coming back and going away. This isn't a Cher or a Kiss farewell tour. This is real life, and with serious allegations going on here. But I mean, Vince has got a lot of money. He's got the best lawyers in all the land. So,
and
I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? It's a power play, or you think what is it?
I mean, I totally get it. I understand why he's coming back to help facilitate the sale. But I don't know. I think it's a power play. I think he's trying to weasel his way back in.
Is the sale, no pun intended, just smoke and mirrors? Is that just Vince's way to get back in the door? Say he wants to facilitate this sale, and then that sale never happened? Did
you say smoke and mirrors?
I did say smoke and mirrors. But
Can I just interject by, whoa, it's only smoke and mirrors?
Oh, God, yes. But, I mean, is that his smoke and mirror ploy to get back into, to quote-unquote, facilitate this sale? I mean, who are some of the actual serious buyers out there, Stripes?
So right now, with the sale going on, I don't think it's just smoke and mirrors. For the simple fact is, they actually reached out to J.P. Morgan, and they're going to help them advise on the potential sale.
Did you say J.G. Wentworth?
They could get 877 cash now.
Okay, no, I thought you said J.G. Wentworth. My bad.
But as of right now, the potential buyers that allegedly are looking into getting the WWE is Comcast, Fox, Disney. So we could have the Disney princesses be the divas now. Warner Brothers Discovery. Now that one's actually kind of interesting to me because, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that something had to do with AEW?
That's who they're currently with right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay,
Warner Brothers are the ones that weren't allowing the Briscoes on TV to plug their matches with FTR. So yes, they're currently with Warner Brothers.
And the list goes on with Netflix, Amazon. I'm not. You know what? I'm not even going to go there with Amazon. Endeavor Group Holdings. That would be. Oh, that is the same company that actually owns the UFC. So that could be a huge swing for them. Liberty Media is another one. They own Formula One. So I mean, the list is out there. So we could potentially have new ownership. From what I hear, it could happen within the next 3 to 6 months because J.P. Morgan is involved. And from what I hear, Saudi Arabia also wants to throw their hat in the ring.
I hope that is not who it goes to.
Oh, I completely agree with you there,
I agree.
Nick.
I mean, knowing that they were requesting Yokozuna for one of their Saudi shows just shows you they have no clue about wrestling.
Wait, you mean Yokozuna isn't wrestling anymore?
Yeah, he's been gone for a few years. Yeah.
Oh.
Just a handful.
Anybody but them. I mean, let's just say Disney bought them or the sale was to Disney. I don't think that's the end of the world. And here's my argument. You don't hear any Star Wars fans really complaining what Disney has done with Star Wars since they've taken it over, have you?
Nope.
No. I mean, for the majority, they've done pretty good. They had the Mandalorian. I don't know about the Endor show.
I haven't watched that yet myself. I have not.
What other spinoffs? I've heard more good than bad about those. So the sale to Disney wouldn't bother me. I personally don't care who buys the WWE, just as long as I can still have access, like I do right now on Peacock, to the archive.
And I think if go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I'm pretty sure Peacock has an exclusive deal for a number of years now, if I remember what I read correctly. So I don't think that's going to change.
Okay.
I was going to say the same thing, actually.
And I just want to take a moment here. If you're tuning in live, thank you for joining us on the Card Subject to Change podcast, part of the For Frequency's Sake podcast network. We do have some comments coming in from our tribal chief, DJ. Stripes, you have been requested to acknowledge him.
I do acknowledge the tribal chief in here, DJ. Yes, I do see that in the comments. Thank you, DJ. I do acknowledge the tribal chief.
What a pushover. What a kiss that. You can tell who's new around here. No, I'm just kidding. But getting back to it, I mean, so the sale, you know, I think when you say like a Disney, a Fox, you know, I think you got to take a Netflix seriously, look at the money they have, and I think you got to take an Amazon seriously.
Most definitely.
Bottom line, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I just hope nothing changes until after WrestleMania. Just let us have this one last road to WrestleMania before things go awry, right? Because so much good could be happening here in these next few months.
Yeah, we've got some great stories in place that Triple H has put in for us here. So we've got good Triple Paul.
Thank you.
There we go.
We've got what's shaping up to be the best road to WrestleMania and possibly the best WrestleMania in years. Last year is going to be hard to top, at least night one, but we're on our way there.
For sure. Speaking of, you know, one night, 2 night events, let's go ahead and talk about Wrestle Kingdom that took place just a few days ago over in Japan. It took place last, you know, Wednesday morning our time. And, you know, the big story coming out of that, they're not talking about the wrestling matches, Stripes. They're talking about the return to wrestling of one now Sasha Banks, now known as Monet Banks.
You know, there is a lot of talk about Monet Banks, the newly crowned CEO of New Japan Wrestling. Honestly, everybody's been talking about it for how long? I'm to the point where I'm just like, it is what it is. Like, she's not really. I mean, maybe I could be wrong. Maybe she will come into New Japan, surprise us all, and show us that she's better than we all thought. Me personally, I can't see it. I mean, she botched the I don't know, the bank statement, if you call it that. I don't know, but it's definitely something to keep your eye on. I'm not saying that I won't be watching it.
I guess, CZ, you know my answer. I want to ask you, is she a big enough needle mover?
I want to say no. I mean, she has moved the needle. She does do a decent job. Former women's champion, multi-time women's champion in the WWE. But I don't see her as being someone who moves the needle that much.
And CZ, I'm gonna have to add on to that. I don't see her as a needle mover for New Japan. Now, here's where I would see the needle moving if she would have actually re-signed with the WWE, and that would have maybe moved the needle on her end. For the simple fact, everybody was like, "Oh, where's Sasha going? Where's Sasha going?" I think if she would have went to the WWE, she definitely would have moved the needle there. Now, in New Japan, I don't think she moves the needle there.
I agree.
Do we see her show up at the Rumble? Maybe they've got a, you know, spoken or unwritten agreement about, hey, you can wrestle over there, but we need you here for these shows, and we take priority. Yeah. I wanted to ask you guys this before the thought passed. I'm going to name off WWE current women's roster. Okay. I'm going to say the name. And if you'd rather keep her over Sasha, I'm going to say name, her or Sasha. Okay.
In the Rumble, or just in the
WWE, name, allure, where does she stack in the theme of things? Okay.
Okay.
Charlotte Flair.
Number 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Becky Lynch.
Very close second.
Keep her.
If not Bianca Belair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley.
Those have got to be the 3 top names. I would put Rhea up there too.
I would put Rhea ahead of Sasha.
Yep, I agree.
I would put Bayley ahead of Sasha.
Yes.
Oh yeah, most definitely, way ahead.
We've got 5 names there.
Yep.
And hey, if Sasha wrestles in Japan, that's great. Does anybody care? It does. I mean, like, tree falls in the woods. Does anybody care?
No.
What I'm saying is that ain't Charlotte Flair that took off on you, that threw the titles in the trash. Okay, it's Sasha Banks, and maybe Sasha seen the writing on the wall. She's 1-6 at WrestleMania, and her win was in that tag match, those tag titles that she threw away, later on. To me, I'm happy for her that she's finding success over there, but I don't think her ever coming back to WWE would move the water enough, in my opinion. I think if she showed up in AEW just off name alone and the fact that their women's roster is not that deep, I think she'd make a bigger splash there. But then again, they just introduced this women's title over in New Japan, so who knows? I mean, you get her to hold it, you get eyes on your company, so maybe that's what they're doing.
Maybe.
I would have to say so.
Yeah, I can agree with that. We're talking about Sasha. I've got to ask the question, what happens to her partner who also walked? Where's Naomi going to end up?
I've been hearing rumblings that she's actually looking to sign back with WWE. And if she does, or when she does, I think she's going to get lost in the shuffle too. Just because she's not on that top tier level like, Rhea, Becky, Bayley.
I'm shocked that they haven't brought her back as part of the bloodline, right?
Right. That's what I was thinking too.
And I think if she gets put with the bloodline, I think that might cement her not getting lost in the shuffle. Just because you have that Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, you've got that whole dynamic of the bloodline, and then you put a Naomi in there, she doesn't get lost in the shuffle. If she's by herself and not in the bloodline, I think she's going to go down to Liv Morgan land.
Oh, Jiminy Christmas. You mean shove down our throats every week as some badass? And it's, I have to suspend disbelief enough, and it's hard enough. Especially with Liv Morgan in there. But we have not seen nor heard anything from Naomi. I know she was over at Wrestle Kingdom with Bayley, after seeing backstage photos and stuff. But I like the idea. I mean, whoever is the next to fight the Usos for the belts, all looks lost, but maybe Naomi comes out of nowhere and helps them out. And that's how you introduce her to the bloodline. I mean, that's how you get her back. That's how you get her to move the needle. She's got a natural end to the biggest storyline in the last 2 to 3 years. That's how I bring her back. But hey, maybe WWE knows we don't need her. That'd just be extra. I don't know.
And the nice thing about the WWE is they've got such a deep women's roster. I mean, we've mentioned 5 top names. We've mentioned one name that's kind of floating in the middle. I do want to, we'll go back to Liv Morgan. I don't think she's a bad wrestler, but I agree with you, Nick. She was shoved down our throats for so long, and she just doesn't have that top tier material that the other names we've mentioned have.
Right. Not yet, but maybe someday, maybe in a couple years. Alexa Bliss is still out there. I mean, Asuka is another name I didn't mention. I probably would take both of them over Sasha.
I think Alexa Bliss, I think her career is actually gonna change real soon. I think this whole thing with Bray Wyatt, this whole thing with Uncle Howdy, whatever you want to call it, I think it's about to elevate her to that next level.
I mean, this thing has got to be, when I say this thing, if you're just tuning in here, listen on the Cards of Change podcast on the For Frequency's Sake Network. We are live. We're live everywhere tonight, but if you're just tuning in, we're talking about Bray Wyatt now. We're talking about what's going to happen. Stripes believes Alexa Bliss's career is going to take off here. Do we have this full Bray Wyatt vision going by WrestleMania 39? Are we going to see this thing unroll we know we got this cinematic match with him at Royal Rumble coming up here in a few weeks with LA Knight. But do we see the whole Bray Wyatt, master plan by WrestleMania?
That's a great question.
I am really hoping. I'm really hoping this Bray Wyatt Uncle Howdy kind of thing unfolds itself. I think it starts to unfold itself in a more bigger way after the Rumble. I don't know if any of you listened to Sam Roberts' podcast. He was kind of explaining his love for Bray Wyatt. His idea for this is that it's not a Bray Wyatt family. It's going to be an Uncle Howdy family. They're introducing Uncle Howdy in as maybe this person that's controlling Bray Wyatt and trying to make him do these evil deeds. And as Uncle Howdy is the overseer of all of this, and Uncle Howdy is controlling Alexa Bliss. Do you guys agree with that? I mean, it could be definitely a different take on it.
Yeah, I'm interested in where it goes, and I'm all about a slow burn and a good build. But it just seems since he's come back, this has kind of been spinning its wheels. I hope it goes in a direction like that, Stripes, to be honest with you. It'd be going in the direction of action. Let's get something going here.
This has been a very, very slow burn. And
maybe our questions will be answered in that cinematic match. Maybe more members come out and they're introduced that way. I think it's I love the idea more and more that I think about it with this storyline tied in. Introduce some people into it that way.
I agree.
Cool way to bring them in on a pay-per-view. And I don't know. I have high hopes for this thing. I just hope it doesn't go down the crapper.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, let me ask you this. Has the burn for this Bray Wyatt scenario been too slow?
Well,
he's been back since
October. If you're asking the honorable one right now as we record, has it been too slow? Yes. But I want to pause that answer and say I want to wait to see what it gets to. Because if all this is drawn out and we get that crap that happened at WrestleMania with Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton, I don't know if that can be forgiven. Now, if he pulls this off and something cool at WrestleMania happens, that can be forgiven. But man, they got to be very careful, I think, where they tread and how much freedom they give him with this, because you saw what happened last time.
Yeah, that's very true. The whole Fiend scenario just kind of, it was on an uphill swing. It was doing really well, and then it just kind of took a nosedive.
One more question here before we take a quick break. Just fantasy booking. I mean, open the fantasy book up before we take a break here. Let's go around the triangle, the death triangle here. To this day right now, who do you want Bray Wyatt to face at WrestleMania?
Ooh, I'm gonna let you go on that, CZ. Since I'm gonna give me a second to think about that one.
Yeah, I feel you there, Stripes. Honestly, I like what they're doing between him and LA Knight. I can see that story continuing into WrestleMania. But here's the thing. We've got this pitch black match, this cinematic match. Does LA Knight become one of Bray's minions after that match? Does he somehow turn LA Knight to be an ally instead of an enemy?
That's a great point, CZ. And if they do it in that match, they really don't have to explain anything, right? It happened in the match. Blah, blah, blah. So if they, at some point, some people could look at the cinematic match as lazy. And I did before the Cena Bray Wyatt one. Was that the first one?
When was the one between
What was the
Bray
first
and
cinematic
Randy? I think it was the one between Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, the House of
Yeah,
Horrors
the
match.
house. Yep.
Okay. I don't want to. I don't want to talk about that. I'm talking about. When was the next one?
Was it the Undertaker? Undertaker AJ?
I thought the Bray and Cena became before the Undertaker and AJ.
I did
The
too.
Firefly
I thought the
Funhouse
break.
match.
If we're talking like, okay, the last 5 years, I want to say the Bray and Cena one was before Taker Styles, correct?
Yes, I believe you're correct. I believe
Okay.
that's right.
With that being said, I had my expectations lowered going into those things, and coming out of those, I never looked back and said, oh, that was crap. Like, I felt good about those matches. I like what they can do in those matches. I wish Taker could have went out in the ring. But despite COVID, that had to be that way. But I am really excited because I think LA Knight feeds into the Bray character. And
Yeah.
and maybe, just maybe, he turns and becomes Bray's best buddy going into WrestleMania. Who knows? CZ, you say LA Knight, he's still feuding with them. I'm gonna say, my goodness, oh, man,
Yeah, it's a tough call.
It's probably gonna be LA Knight.
I would have to agree. I think LA Knight's going to stick around with him after Royal Rumble.
Okay. Yeah, I think we all agree on that. And if it's not, it's going to be exciting to see who is, right?
So really quickly, I did do some digging and some research on the cinematic match history.
Man, hey, CZ, I knew we brought this guy on for a reason.
It's not just because he's a ref. He's gonna ref our matches.
He's paying his dues right now, man. I love
it. My dues, baby. Here we go. All right. So 1999. Let's go back. Halftime Heat, empty arena match. That marks right there the first cinematic style wrestling match. After that, we got two. It's not going to be another 17 years until we see a cinematic match from the final deletion in Impact Wrestling. Yeah. And
you
so
will
here
be deleted.
And then we go to the same year on Monday Night Raw, the Wyatt family compound match, and that match was with the Wyatts and the New Day.
Oh, I remember that.
Okay.
Yes. It was days after the famous final deletion match. Then we got the Great War. This was in Impact Pro Wrestling with Abyss, Crazy Steve, and Rosemary.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
And I'm not reviewing that one.
You know what?
Begs the question, Nick. What's your favorite Crazy Steve match?
Plain as good, I couldn't pick Crazy Steve out of a lineup.
I don't think I could either.
An honorable one. This next one is for you. The same year, 2016, we got Tag Team Apocalypto. That is where we saw the Rock and Roll Express, the Helms Dynasty, Decay, the Bruiserweights, the Ugly Ducklings, Showtime, Aaron Biggs, Mecha Mercenary, the Bravado Brothers, Rockstar Spud, Swoggle, and the Broken Hardys. They fought it out in nearly a long hour closing segment in Impact Wrestling.
Oh, my.
That was a lot of people. I do remember that. Seeing the Rock and Roll Express.
I have not seen that.
Oh, it's right up your alley. Tag Team Apocalypto, buddy.
I'm writing it down right now. I will watch it.
And then we got into the House of Horrors match with Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt in 2017.
Is
Next,
that
we
when
have
the
another-
house? No, like that House of Horrors match. That's the WrestleMania, right?
That was at Payback.
Okay, that's the one where the house is on fire?
Yes. Yep.
Okay,
That's
thank
exactly where. Yep. After that, we have another Ultimate Deletion, but this time it is with the WWE Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt.
Okay.
This included a Benny Hill-esque chase scene through the
I remember
field
that.
of handmade
God.
6-foot symbols.
I'm gonna stop you right there because my nephew and I have watched that match multiple times, and what always pops us is Matt Hardy, mower of lawns, chair of wheels.
Chair of wheels. I agree.
Pair of wheels. Oh my gosh. Oh, I think that's a good. I think that's a good. Oh no, wait. What's that? Is that the? How many more theatric matches we have?
We have a couple of them, but I won't go too long here. Real quick, I'll just do them. Fire lightning round here. The Boneyard match, WrestleMania 36. We have Firefly Funhouse match with John Cena, of course. We have Money in the Bank corporate ladder match. Oh my! No. Let's go right past that one. No, thank you.
Guys, way to go, Stripes, for being so eager. We have got to write that. We got to write that down. That's got to go on like the wheel of punishment or something.
Oh man!
Review. What Money in the Bank was that? My God,
that would be 2020.
Listen to me. There was a possible attempted murder on there.
There was.
Well, they threw Rey Mysterio off Titan Tower.
Yep, and he's now a zombie.
And then Aleister Black lost an eye in that match. Oh my God. You want to talk about Benny Hill, the way that match starts out. Oh man. I want to forget that. Oh my God. Okay. That's the worst one. That's the worst one, right?
That is probably the worst. Well, you go into the Stadium Stampede match for AEW Double or Nothing. That was good. I thought that was pretty good. That was the first one. And
I like them. Yeah, I don't think they're bad.
No, they're not bad. And the last one on this list is the Backlot Brawl from NXT TakeOver in Your House, which her person that shall not be named against Adam Cole.
Yes, I remember that match.
Okay. Yeah.
That one wasn't good. Was not good.
His initials are venereal disease.
Yes. Yes.
Now, I guess we had a lot more theatric matches in there.
I think there's a lot more, but this list only goes to the Backlot Brawl.
Well, I'll tell you what. Being on the cusp of this blackout match at Royal Rumble, we need to throw it out there to the listeners. What is your favorite theatric match that you've seen in recent years? It doesn't have to be in the last couple of years. Could go way back. Stripes presented a pretty good list there. I remember watching Halftime Heat live and thinking it was the coolest thing ever. So let us know. Let us know. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, what you think, what your favorite theatric match is, and we want to hear. We want to hear from you.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a moment here. Usually we have Joe Winkle reading our breaks, our commercials, but the For Fantasy Sake team is done for the season. The fantasy season is over. So we're doing things a little different right now. I'm just going to pitch it over here and talk about Joe Winkle. You can catch him every Sunday and Wednesday night during the playoffs on the Educated Ignorance podcast, talking everything NFL.
You're listening to Cards Subject to Change with the Wizard, CZ, the Honorable One, Nick Bull, and Chris Angle.
I totally forgot that was coming back. I got interrupted by myself. Thank you.
Definitely did.
I was going to ask you, CZ, if Joe is related to Henry Winkler.
It's
No, nothing.
No.
All right.
Oh my. So if you're tuning in live, we appreciate you stopping by. This is the Card Subject to Change podcast, part of the For Frequency's Sake podcast network. Be sure to give us a like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. We love to hear your comments, and we will interact with you here during the show if you are listening in live. Nick, we're going to move on and, address the big elephant in the room. He's been talking with us for the last over half an hour, but let's get to know our new co-host.
Let's find out some more about this sexy voice that's on this broadcast.
I'm just a sexy voice.
I
took the singing from you.
The best version of that song is when Sherry sings the whole song.
Yes.
Like, he does the Sean at the beginning, but I think he's cute. I know, sexy. Oh, my God. I believe he comes out of WrestleMania 8.
Sexy Kurt. Yep, I do.
At WrestleMania 8, he comes out with Sherry leading him and her singing it, and it's great, man.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Oh, we're already off the rails.
We're already off the
segment.
We're already off the rails. Get us back on the train here, conductor.
So Stripes, when we bring people on, do an interview, which we're going to treat this as an interview for you here, just to let the listeners get to know you, let us get to know you a little bit here.
You've already got the job, but you still got to do this. Corporate, wants us to do this. So
yeah.
One of the first things we ask anybody that comes on the show is talk about how you got into wrestling as a fan and how you got into wrestling as a referee, or as you've had many hats in the wrestling business other than just a referee. Talk about your fandom and talk about getting into the business.
So I would say my earliest memory of professional wrestling that I have is my father actually telling me that he took me when I was a child to Palmer Auditorium to see WrestleMania 1 on closed circuit TV. Mind you, I was only probably a baby. I was an infant at this time because WrestleMania comes and goes, but it's usually around my birthday. Now it's kind of the beginning of April, but when I was a wee little lad, a youngster, it would be around March 20th, March 27th, somewhere there, around there. So I would have birthday parties scheduled around WrestleMania. So when WrestleMania came around, I would invite a bunch of friends over. We'd have pizza, food, watch WrestleMania. That would be the plan. So that was my first memory of it. Now, therefore, as getting into the wrestling business itself, when I graduated in 2002, I didn't go to any standard graduation party. I actually went down to the now vibrant arena at the Mark of the Quad Cities. Back in the day, they let you spend the night for wrestling tickets. They let you spend the night for concert tickets. To be first in line to get those coveted front row seats. So there I met the SCW crew, Steven Youngblood. I met Shane Hollister, the likes of Gage Blagojevich. I met big, tall. I'm not going to call him his shoot name, but
sure,
Tornado, as we called him back then. But I met them, and that kind of got me into the barn. I mean, I went to shows there. I actually, when I first began with the barn, I was a referee. And then I became the manager of Steven Youngblood. One thing left to another. I, quote unquote, owned the company. So I mean, like you said, CZ, I definitely did wear a lot of hats in the professional wrestling business. We'll definitely get into a lot of those as the interview goes on.
I want
Absolutely.
to go back and touch on something you brought up, Stripes, and you had friends over and watching those WrestleManias. What's the number one memory or number one match you can remember from those?
So the number one memory, actually, I don't believe it was from a WrestleMania.
That's cool.
But the number one memory that I did have, that we had friends over and kind of, now you guys might laugh at me, you guys might poke fun at me, but The Undertaker was buried alive by Yokozuna and his gang of people. Now, when The Undertaker rose out of that casket onto that then Titantron, that scared the living daylights out of me.
Are you talking about Rumble 94, Undertaker, Yokozuna casket match where like the heel locker room comes out and just he takes on The Undertaker?
That would be it, sir. I had nightmares for weeks.
Huh?
No joke.
Is that when he's on the Titantron and like opens his eyes like, yes?
And then he rose out of the Titantron and you saw the silhouette of him above the Titantron.
Awesome. Simply awesome.
That scared the ever-living daylights out of me. I don't know what about it, but that gave me, just thinking about it right now, I'm like, oh man, The Undertaker's going to visit me tonight. Here we go.
Not making fun of you at all, man. I love that you go back and can recall that. Like, yep, that was the one. That's great. I don't know. We've had past guests. I know CZ and I have talked about it. Now that you're one of us, I mean, you remember going to the video store and renting VHSs, right?
Oh, of course.
What was the go-to VHS for you when you went to it for wrestling? Was there one that you always that always stuck out that you would get more than once?
I don't really recall getting one that's over and over, but I do recall just going there and getting anything I could get my hands on. Really, I just basically just gobbled up all the the wrestling that I could watch at that time. So I really didn't have kind of over and over one that I specifically, gravitated to, but it was just kind of anything and everything that I could see.
Well, that's awesome. What let's talk about favorite things. So
okay.
I'll start by asking the big question: favorite overall all-time wrestler, past, present. I was going to say future, but you wouldn't have a favorite from the future yet.
If you were going to say future, I was going to finish with together.
And I would say now.
Now.
So I will actually answer that in two parts. Past, I would definitely have to say, when I was a young kid, I was at first a Hogan mark. I think we all were a Hogan mark. We saw Hogan as this big, huge guy, Mr. America.
At some point, everybody was, right? At some point, everybody was, and if you deny it, you're a liar.
But then there was something that changed, and I gravitated more towards the Ultimate Warrior. Now, when they formed the Mega Powers, that just blew my mind. I was just like, Hogan and Warrior? Holy cow. Now, that brings me to a story. I don't know if you want story. I know you said you like stories.
We always want stories.
Well,
bring it on.
Okay, so Ultimate Warrior was billed at the Mark of the Quad Cities. I'm not sure who he was up against. I don't know. That was the match I was looking forward to. Ultimate Warrior's music hits. Does he does the obligatory run to the ring, sprinting like someone just I don't know what, but he just sprints to the ring.
Like someone just shot him out of a cocaine cannon.
Exactly. He gets to the ring, gets in the ring, bounces off one rope, clothesline, bounces off the other rope, clothesline, grabs whoever he's wrestling, overhead press, drops him behind him, pins him. 1, 2, 3. Runs right back out of the ring like he just got shouted out again. Less than 20-second match.
Wow.
I was like, that was it.
And what did that do to a young Stripes?
I loved it.
So, Mr. Engel, we're talking about the Ultimate Warrior here. Are you going to be able to translate his promos when we review shows that the Ultimate Warrior is a part of? Because I don't understand half the things coming out of his mouth. I can't speak for Nick, but
I don't think I'm going to be translating, but maybe I will recreate some. I don't know, but
hey, I like that too. Recreate all you want.
All right, sounds wonderful.
We'll have to play a game on here where we read an actual promo of his, and then we read one we made up, and then see if we can tell the difference.
Ooh, I like that. I like that idea.
Yes.
Mark that one down. I like that.
So you said Ultimate Warrior. That was the first part. You said you had 2-part answer.
Okay, so my present favorite wrestler, I would definitely, present day. If we're talking present day that has been around for quite a while, actually, I would have to go with, if you put something in front of me that I will just completely watch it, is actually Christopher Daniels. I will sit down and watch a Christopher Daniels match any day of the week.
Okay.
And that might be a deep cut, but you know what? I just think that Christopher Daniels is an all-around great wrestler. He can high fly, he can technical, he can, do it all basically.
I like that answer. I mean, a lot of people out there may not know who the fallen angel Christopher Daniels is. Excuse me, I'm burping here. He's a key part of the early Ring of Honor days. Big player in TNA.
Yep, I was just going to say that.
Impact was in AEW early on in the AEW days. But I love that answer. I love the fallen angel Christopher Daniels.
And on top of that, he's a poor man's JT Energy. So.
Yes.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Oh, I just had to get that in there.
A little bit of history that not many people know, and then I'll let you get to your question. Christopher Daniels was actually slated to be the higher power behind the Ministry of Darkness, the corporate ministry back in the day, and Vince McMahon thought he was too small.
Oh, bad move. Bad move, Vince.
I like that tidbit there, CZ. You've been doing your homework. Hey, not only are you out of town, our roving reporter, Stagger Lee Marshall, you're doing homework too. Dude, you get employee of the week.
I love it. Does that come with a bonus in my paycheck?
It comes with a ham sandwich and a handshake.
Does he get the front parking spot too?
Sure. He can park in front wherever he wants. You got my permission, CZ. You park in front wherever you go.
Excellent.
Hey, that works for me.
All right. Another question here. When you turn on wrestling, whether it's current or whether you want to watch something old, what is the first, what pops out to you? What are you watching? When you go back and watch old shows? What are you looking for when you watch new shows?
Ooh,
what trips your trigger when you're watching wrestling?
What trips my trigger? Huh. That's good. I think I'm one of those type of fans that I like a mixture of everything. I'm not like a deathmatch guy. I'm not like a pure wrestling guy. I'm not like a comedy wrestling guy. I think I would have to gravitate towards a match that has the mixture of, it's going to entertain me, and it's also going to feed that pure wrestling side of me. You know, maybe have a little bit of, you know, chairs in it as well. But if you have two, basically, I look at pro wrestling as a smorgasbord. You know, you got to have a little bit of everything for everybody. And if you don't, then you're going to have people turn it off, basically. So really, it's whatever entertains me, and I think that's what's getting. It's sometimes it gets lost in the translation with professional wrestling, but that's another rant for another time.
Yeah, we don't want you upset and dropping promos and ranting on your debut.
No, definitely not.
We don't want that, do we, CZ?
No. We want you to be happy and be. We want to talk about the positives in your wrestling life. But I will turn that on its ear. Let's talk about heel wrestling. When did you first start to appreciate a good heel? Was it before you got into the business? Was it when you got into the business? And who do you gravitate towards? Who's your favorite bad guy wrestler? Who do you just love to hate?
Gosh. Love to hate. I would say when I thought bad guys were kind of cool would be Razor Ramon. I mean, he really wasn't the typical bad guy wrestler. You know what I mean? Like he was slated to, I think he was the quote unquote bad guy. But you know, like that's when I think for me, the bad guy wrestler kind of started becoming appealing, I guess I would say. As far as today, as long as you don't have what you call go away heat, I think that you're pretty much going to be on my list to love to hate. You know what I mean? Like there are the certain wrestlers that you're just like, oh my God, go away. You know, I mean, Austin Theory was on the top of my list before this whole
recent history. I would say Austin Theory before
the rebranding. Yeah.
Before the rebranding. Yeah.
But I think that would be, you know, if you have that go away heat and it's just like, get him off my screen. A person on would be close to that top of that list would be Baron Corbin. Holy crap. I cannot stand me some Baron Corbin.
Hey, CZ, guess who's going to review every Baron Corbin match we ever have?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, man.
The best thing about Baron Corbin was his entrance music. I'm not talking about Happy Corbin. I'm talking about Lone Wolf days.
What are they gonna do with him?
Not even JBL can make me care about him.
Right.
I don't even know.
At this point, my opinion of Baron Corbin is he's there. I don't necessarily like him. I don't necessarily hate him. He's just on my screen.
I would have to beg to differ on that one. That's just get him off the screen as quick as possible. Unless you have JBL in oversized suits, get him off my screen.
Fair point.
I believe that's fair too. Yeah, I would love for them to package him in a way that I gave a crap, but I never have for him. I got nothing against the guy. I just don't care for him.
Here's the thing, though. He's not a bad wrestler. It's not his in-ring abilities. And let's talk about this for a second. Why was his finisher the most protected finisher in the WWE up until about a year ago? Baron Corbin, of all people, no one ever kicked out of the end of days.
That's a good question.
McIntyre.
That's a good question. Oh, don't start me on that finishing move.
I don't have an answer to that one. Just because I almost asked you what his finisher was. I really couldn't think of it as for the life of me. And then when you said it, I'm like, oh, that's right. That's yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I it blows my mind.
That is one guy who maybe could benefit from a trip to NXT.
I think maybe he could benefit from a trip out of the company.
Oh, wow. Man, Stripe's coming in here firing. Man, he's coming in here firing tonight. I was just trying to be cordial and send him down to NXT for 3 months or something. Man.
I don't say to send him to NXT. Give him the Drew McIntyre treatment. Get him out of here for a little while. Maybe have him come back. I don't know what to do, but he might learn a thing or two about a thing or two.
Hey, CZ.
Yeah.
You know what Stripes wants to say to Baron Corbin, don't you?
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I want him to say it.
I love it. I agree.
Wow. I did not know you were such a Corbin fan, but that's one thing to take away from this tonight, I guess, CT.
Yeah, we found one of his big time favorites for sure.
Oh, most definitely.
Oh man. I don't know where to go from here.
Yeah, we went from go away heat to firing Baron Corbin.
Yeah, in a matter of minutes.
In a matter of moments, yes. Train conductor. Are we on schedule for another stop here?
Yeah, let's just talk one more time here. I want to give a shout out to our podcast brethren on the For Frequency's Sake podcast network, Mr. Joe the Show Winkle. He is over on the Educated Ignorance podcast. You can catch that on the For Frequency's Sake website, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts. Every Sunday and Wednesday is when he records.
You're listening to Cards Subject to Change with the Wizard, CZ, the Honorable One, Nick Bull, and Chris Angle.
This is the part of the show where we check in with our roving reporter, Wizard CZ in Huntsville, Alabama. What do you got for us?
Well, I'm not in Huntsville anymore, but I definitely was last night. I want to give a shout out to New South Professional Wrestling. I'll admit I lasted about an hour and a half at their show. So I want to talk directly to the young lady who was sitting right next to me. I could not tell if I was at a wrestling event or if I had taken my young daughter to a Justin Bieber concert. The screeching. Young lady, I love your enthusiasm. I'm glad you're a wrestling fan. Tone it down. But New South, I went there. I was there for probably a third of the show. I ended up leaving, one, because of the screeching in my ear gave me just a splitting headache. But two, I drove from Huntsville, Alabama. I am in Lakeland, Florida right now. So like you said earlier, Nick, roving reporter, the Stagger Lee Marshall. It's great. Of the Cards Subject to Change. For those of you who don't know, Stagger Lee was the voice of Tony the Tiger for many years.
Yes, many years.
But I got to give a shout out to New South Wrestling. They do a fantastic job. We talk about titles all the time and the title belts that we love. Their title belt is the biggest title I have ever seen. Go look it up. Their champion, Kenzie, and I meant to look this up before the show. I did not have time. I got to the hotel room. I ran to get some groceries for the next couple of days, and then we were right in.
I don't know. I don't know if we can accept these excuses.
That's fair.
You're fine, dude. And you talk about New South, and I talked to you a little bit earlier today when you were on the road. you were talking about next month, you said, or in a few weeks. They've got a big show coming up with GCW, Game Changer Wrestling.
They do. So if I were going to be in the Huntsville area, if you're in Huntsville, Alabama, and you're listening to this podcast, first of all, thank you very much. Appreciate you tuning in. Secondly, GCW has a show on the 21st, a solo show, and then on the 22nd, it is New South Wrestling versus GCW in their big event. That takes place on, like I said, January 22nd. So something to look forward to if you're a fan of wrestling in the Alabama area. I am
Wizard. Where are they at on social media?
So you can find, if you search New South, it is there. It says New South. The new is in white. The South is in orange on Facebook. That's tagged underneath Best in the South. On Twitter, they are New South _PW is where you can find them.
Excellent stuff. Excellent.
I do want to give a shout out. There was a kid there. His name was Hunter Drake. He put on a fantastic match. It was a losing effort for him, but we know that the numbers aren't always a big factor. He reminds me very much of a young Matt Mayday, aka Crotch from SCW. But of the people that I saw wrestle, he's on the top of my list to look out for as an up-and-coming talent. His name is Hunter Drake. I'm not 100% sure where to find him on social media. I did not get a chance to talk to anybody. It's like I said, I left the show earlier than I would have expected or would have wanted. But you can also find them on YouTube. I'm sorry, if you want to check out some of their matches, just look up New South. It's the same white and orange logo on YouTube. I've subscribed to their channel. I've watched some of their stuff. Like I'm pulling up YouTube right now. The first thing that popped up on my feed is a match between Danhausen and someone named Suj D. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. If I am, I apologize. But they tape a weekly show. I believe it's called Action Clash. I'll have to get back. I'll put a pin in that and get back to you here. But find them on YouTube. I believe, if I remember correctly, that weekly show that they taped, they were recording 3 episodes last night. You can find that on Fight TV.
Excellent stuff. So you might be on Fight TV.
It's possible.
Man, getting the pub out there. Now, I was going to say, did you cut that girl some slack? She was probably screaming because she knew that you did a podcast with me.
Well, that's probably fair. She found someone that she liked in every match that I saw. And she was just, I would put her in her late teens, mid to late teens, early 20s, probably more teenage girl, but
could she sing Sherry Martell's part on Sexy Boy?
Yes, she definitely could.
Excellent.
Give her a contract.
Yeah, sign her up that talent.
That's good shit.
Well, I'll tell you what, you had a ringing headache from the screaming. I lost my voice, I think, about last night. What a show SCW put on, the Prestige Rumble. If you're familiar with SCW Pro, it was the last ever show at the Walcott Coliseum due to the building being sold to different owners. They closed it out with a bang. What a show. I really don't want to spoil a lot. I have taken time. I was going to wait till after the show tonight to post some pictures to our social media. I'm just going to post some of the best ones I took off my little Google Pixel. I know there's plenty of better stuff out there, but man, what a night. The energy, plenty of pun intended there during the JT Energy, and the Braxton, Connor Braxton match. The energy was unbelievable in there. I want to guesstimate over 300 people, standing room only. Saw title change hands with JT Energy beating Connor Braxton. We have a Iowa champion as the Devil Dog was defeated in the last ever Walcott Street fight by Suge. And, of course, the main event, we had the QC Cup. We have a new QC Cup holder. Eric Esnight was defeated by a returning Matt Money Cage. And then in the Prestige Rumble, I guess we need to start calling the Devil Dog the opportunistic Devil Dog, as he sees the opportunity. Stole a spot in the Rumble and goes on to win it and gets a title shot at Epic. So, fellas, the road to Epic has begun. I can't wait.
Ready.
I can't wait for it. Stripes, he's kind of our
he's our insider.
Reporter.
He's the SCW Pro Insider.
Yeah, he's the insider.
Speaking of photography, you said you were doing some photography with your Google Pixel. I want to give a shout out real quick to Tag Team Photography. They are SCW's resident photographer there. I am looking on their Facebook page. They took some good shots. I mean, I don't know how they fare up to the Google Pixel shots that you took, Nick, but they definitely got some great shots of the new champions, the new QC Cup champion in Money Matt Cage. Like I said, I missed it last night, but it definitely looks like a show that I'm not gonna want to pass up on DVD.
And hey, I want to point out, go back in our archives. We've got our interviews with the Devil Dog, but I want to point out the JT Energy interview. He Babe Ruthed his win. He called his shot right here on our podcast.
He did.
He said he was going to win the title.
Yeah, go ahead, Susie.
I was just saying, he came on. He said he was going to win the SCW title, going to become a Grand Slam champion for SCW Pro, and he did it. He achieved his goal in his first match against Connor Braxton. Connor didn't stand a chance.
Nope. It was destiny fulfilled, right?
Yeah. And, we're talking about interviews in our archives. We have some great ones, not just JT Energy and the Devil Dog. We've got Merrick Brave, Crotch, and the one called Manders. But big announcement for us tonight, Nick. Nick and Chris, I'm sorry, I want to be inclusive. We have Stripes, our newest co-host to the Card Subject to Change podcast. 2 weeks from now, we are bringing on one half of the SCW Tag Team Champions, Nico Klein.
Very cool.
Nico with a good showing last night in the Prestige Rumble. Obviously didn't win, but was in there for a good amount of time. I'm looking forward to talking to Nico about that, among other things. He's had a few interesting weeks with some backstage stuff at Raw, so can't wait to get in depth with Nico about that.
Absolutely, I agree. I think that'll be a fun time. I'm anxious to have him on the show. That is 2 weeks from now. Next week, we've got a big one on hand. We are talking about the 2003 Royal Rumble. Now, Nick, before the start of the year, we drew out of a hat what year we were going to review. So 2003 is what won the vote. We're going to be talking about 2003 throughout the year of 2023, starting with the Rumble next week from that year.
Yeah, Royal Rumble 2003 next week. This should be fun. 3 guys trying to call a Rumble match or review it. I'm looking forward to it. Kind of like putting 10 pounds of crap into a 5-pound bag. You don't know how they did it, but you're going to enjoy watching how they do. You're not going to want to miss next week. It's going to be a train wreck for sure. But it's going to be a beautiful train wreck. Trust me. Happy to have the Freebird rule intact. Happy to have our newest member on board, Chris Stripes Angle. Hopefully we'll see Angle at a local show here soon. Glad to have him on board. CZ, of course, great to hear from you as well. Go ahead and send us out with the social media wave.
Well, yeah, let's Stripes, I don't have your social media memorized yet. Where can we find you on social media? Mr. Angle, can you hear me?
I think Mr. Angle left the building. He's already punched the time clock. He's out of here. I guess I'll go ahead.
He comes in, he fires Baron Corbin, and he leaves before we're done.
Wow, he's moving the needle for us. We talked about needle movers earlier. He may be the needle mover, Chris Angle.
I think we just got him back here.
Okay,
well,
it kicked me out right at the last second. I don't know what happened there.
We got the needle mover. We got the needle mover back. We now have the needle mover, part of the most over podcast on the For Frequency's Sake network. We're going places.
We are going places. Thank you guys very much for having me, and I will definitely see you guys next week.
Stripes, before we sign off, tell us where we can find you on the web, on social media.
You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook. Just look me up. I'll be around. I'll definitely be there.
Chris Angle, everybody. You can find the podcast at CSTC Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. You can find us at Card Subject to Change Podcast on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, share. Tell your friends about us, and we will see you next week with the Royal Rumble 2003.
Every man for himself.